Now, ladies and gentlemen, I invite Professor Misako Namiki to the stage to deliver the next talk for this session on conservation education at Japanese zoos. Professor Namiki has about 30 years of experience in breeding animals and creating learning programs at public zoo. She has been studying animal welfare for 6 to 7 years at Teikyo University and is also associated with a shower of educational activities for conservation at the zoo. And we are glad and we thank you, Professor Namiki. We look forward to hearing what you have to say to us this afternoon. So, good afternoon to you, and I request you to please join us on stage, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Konnichiwa. Yeah, thank you. My name is Misako Namiki from Japan. I have a chance to presentate you because my friend whose name is Dr. Furusawa, he is one of great researcher of economics, rural area. And do you know this Mr. Sakamoto? Maybe elephants and people's coexistence project near here. So I've heard of them. This forum is very useful for us, Japanese people, because Japanese children and their adults are not so much coexistence wildlife and urban life. So today the title is Role of Education and Conservation and Animal Welfare. So do you know animal welfare? Not so human welfare. Of course, so the first, I like to say the conclusion because sometimes I have no time to conclude. Sorry. I like to say in this presentation to conservate wildlife needs conservation psychology. Changing our way of life, and especially consumption, may help, changing our consumption style may help wildlife. But reconsidering our consumption style, how to changing our behavior? It is too difficult. You understand? Because reconsidering in mind, only in mind. But behavior changing is outside. So the bridge is very difficult, I think. So conservation psychology is needed. Conservation psychology is. Do you have book in your bags? 52 pages, please. That is introduced to you the roots of conservation psychology. Maybe root is environmental psychology. Healthy, humans' health, or good circumstances will be good at human psychology. It's environmental psychology. But conservation psychology is a very new style because of point out the behavior changing. Now this is today's content. The first, such as animal welfare at the zoo, because he introduced myself because for 30 years at the zoo educators. So after the experience, I have changed my jobs to university and researching animal welfare or animal science. Second, how to breed. the changing behavior. Third, educational activities. I show you some example. And fourth, psychology. What is the conservation psychology? The first, we have 90, maybe 90 zoos in Japan. We have always elephants, Asian elephants, and one-horned rhinoceros. We are very interested in the animal welfare. That means making an effort to prepare enrichment tools. Enrich means life is very important for the animals to enrich the environment. That is for koala, the very, very tall tree is needed for koala. For polar bears, it needs some tools for playing of prey. Of course, for elephants, friends is needed, or good food for rhinoceros. The picture is black rhino in Africa. Of course, for one-horned rhinoceros, usually the good foods, it means the branch or lobe. That means animal welfare. So this animal welfare's experience is the purpose. What is the purpose? Maybe I can say good impression by visitors of zoos. Good impression leads respective feelings. Also, we remember the Dr. Vandana Shiva's presentation. Respective feelings is very important. I also remembered. So we want them to participate in conservation activity. A visitor's impression may be very good, of course, leads to conservation activity. We think so. But the relationship of reflective feelings and behavior change is too difficult. But how we can prepare the bridge? You may see the box, nature world, our healthy, our feeling, our knowledge about the nature are deeply related each other, boxes each other. Emotion, interests, knowledge, each other. So, what is need? Of course, action. For example, energy saving, financial support, political activities, also. If we do nothing, natural world is decrease our feelings about the nature, may be destroyed. So our basic concept is emotional experience in feeling or inner world is maybe by good observation, basically. Then how to bridge is knowing relation between animals and their environment, the relation. So we can several example. How? What? Good observation way. And best polyphonic way of observation. Polyphonic is based from Baftin's idea, and very important for the joint attention, and participants and interpreters exchanges the experience. Looking closely and then impress something, after that express something, exchange. This figure is the sequences of this program. Observation session and interpretation. After interpretation, observation. Then deeply thought about the animals, nature's world, and animals' environment. So the visitors think about the animals behind nature world. What I can do for the nature or the animals. And several cases using tools, observation tools. This is from children's describing while observation. Also, the examples of observation tool. So the messages is what he says. Please don't use energy so much, because for polar bears, we have several conservation programs, like polar bear energy consumptions. This year, we have several zoos, 10 or 11 programs for the children, about 1,000 people at the zoos. Very, very, very simple. So this presentation want to say the needs of conservation psychology, knowing the relation animals and environment, that needs good interpretation, I said. With respective, that is very, very good. Respective feelings is from the animals keepers' perspectives to inner world of visitors. This is short-clawed otters in Asia, India or Bangladesh, and Malaysia. This is very problem for Japanese people, which is pet trade. This is the last of the conservation programs at the zoo. We use these sheets, observation sheets and interpretation sheets. It exchanges the knowledge between the interpreter and visitors. Like this, the zookeepers, interpreters, and participants are all included in the classroom. Discuss about the nature world, how to conserve the animals, how to decrease the energy. Again, conclusion. That's the same size, same theme, but please remember, changing behavior is very difficult, but for zoo visitors, closely observation is deeply impression in the visitors. Then they have decided change their daily consumption style. Maybe the last slide. We need conservation psychology for changing our behavior of consumption with respect to nature world. So thanks to chairman, thanks to Yoshikawa, thanks to Varsha, and Dr. Furusawa. So thanks again for my presentation. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am, for the presentation. However, we want some questions already. We have sir here. So can we please pass on the mic?
Hi. Thank you for your talk. I wanted to ask you, you spoke about the way they are trying to impart knowledge to the people and also provide some enrichment to wildlife in the zoos. Has there been any study on how many of these people who come there have eventually started funding conservation programs in the countries from where these animals come?
The one programs maybe 40 people or 50 people at the programs. And we just have the program in the zoo and outside the zoo, of course. Outside the zoo means the project helping, like camera, wildlife watching camera presence, or at the school, or for the people who want to know nature world, some classes for the adults. Okay?
No, what I was asking is, all this education that is being imparted onto the local people, is that translating into conservation action in the countries where these animals are from? For instance, the koala bear, are there people funding any programs of conservation out there in Australia?
Okay.
That's what I meant.
Of course, the origin of these animals are from the abroad. But today's of course, Japanese zoo or another zoo very increased the animals by breeding each other. So from the wild, not. Okay? From wild. We don't have animals but from the wild directly. Sorry. After that, I can. Okay?
I think what you've said is correct. My own experience in Japan for engagement, both for material engagement and for teaching engagement, has revealed that the Japanese funds, meaning are also diverted to this one organization called JICA. So even Mitsubishi and all actually do it through JICA. Having said that, there is the Japan Elephant Foundation. There is WWF in Japan, again project-wise, they have an office. So I've been to 4 or 5. Fundraising in Japan is very difficult to crack. That's the bottom line. My own experience, and I have this, and my relationship with Tokyo University and all is because I go and speak there. I find that unless there's a project, so for example, there's a place called Kitakishu. In Kitakishu is Nippon Steel. So what Nippon Steel did is they sponsored the whole city to actually work out the best system for diversion of energy saving. They have the most modern and best system for energy. So if 100% energy is done between distribution, transmission losses, Kitakishu is the place in the world where they have a transmission loss of 2%, one. Then they have what do you call the entire process of waste management. The entire waste management and recycling of the water, etc., is again very much what do you call Japan, but totally funded by Nippon Steel, because that was the Nippon Steel. It's like Jamshedpur, so to that extent. But it's a good question, because I think the Japanese market is very difficult. They like the research, they like to do the experiments in their zoos, but the actually going back in the market, you don't really see a Japan person looking after elephants. No? So that's the answer.
Thank you, answers from his question. Thank you. So this time is up. After that, please exchange the knowledge.
Sure.
Please.
Thank you. Arigato masaimasu.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Namiki, for those thoughtful insights. And now, ladies and